Hi guys, I'm Chantel. Welcome back to Intentional Homeschooling, and today I want to talk about a homeschool refresh. So we're hitting the very end of January, beginning of February here right now, and if there was ever a time for a nice refresh in homeschool, I feel like this is the time. I've been thinking about this a lot in the last few weeks. Over in my membership a couple weeks ago now, I shared a video talking about how I was re-energized for this idea of intentional homeschooling, where I intentionally made the name of my website and business Intentional Homeschooling so that I would be reminded to be intentional. But sometimes you can see that all the time and say it and still forget to be intentional. But something triggered, it reminded me, and it made me think about how I wanted to do a bit of a refresh. So over in my membership site, which is just $30 for an entire year for tons of products, downloads, extra videos, all sorts of things, forum, book club, all the things, I'm going to share specifically what we're going to be refreshing. But today I wanted to give some ideas on how you could do a little bit of a homeschool refresh yourself in the middle of the year. Or if you're watching this and you haven't started your school year, maybe you're watching it later, you can do a homeschool refresh anytime. It could be before the school year starts. It could be 2 weeks in. It could be 2 weeks before the end of the school year. It doesn't really matter. But right now, this feels like a good time for a refresh for me, so I thought I would share a video about it. So first of all, I guess what makes a person feel like they need a refresh? If you're feeling the same thing, what is it about your homeschool that's making you feel like you want to make some changes? For me, I feel like we never really got back into the groove post-Christmas. We kind of took December a little easy because of Christmas, and then we just followed that easy slide all the way through January, which is okay. I feel like we kind of have seasons where we're a little bit more on the unschooling side of things, and January in the Canadian prairies is a really good time to be relaxed and unschooly. Sometimes you just need to make it through the bitter cold month. But now that we are almost past January, I'm filming this on the very last day, I feel like it's time to refresh and reorganize some things that we're doing. I was actually reminded recently of the idea of like a literature-based homeschool, which I feel like we have been in the past, but I do feel like we've been slacking on that. And that really triggered something in me where it's like, yes, I want to get back to that. I'm holding a pen because I have notes and I flail my arms when I talk. So I'll just put that down so I stop flailing my pen and pointing my pen at people. So I want to get back to a more literature-based homeschool. We don't follow a curriculum. I like to pull things from different places following our interests, my interests, the kids' interests. I do like lots of the Charlotte Mason stuff, but actually a lot of the reason we haven't followed it is, one, because I'm not very good at the routineness that needs to be followed with the Charlotte Mason method, and two, a lot of what I find is very American based, and as a Canadian it doesn't make sense for me to teach my kids as much American history and American stuff as a lot of that curriculum has. Like not that I'm against them learning about the US, it's just it's a little heavy for someone that doesn't even live in the country. So we are that, plus some unit studies as our interest lead, and we're very eclectic in our approach. But the last year, I would say we haven't been as literature focused as we have been in the past, maybe the last 2 years. And I really want to get back to that. So when you're thinking about a refresh, I started by thinking, like, how would I describe our homeschool right now? What words would I use to describe that? And what words would I use to describe what I want our homeschool to look like? And then see where the differences are. And so, like I already said, I would like us to be more literature focused, I guess, learning more through literature. Like, just reading good books all day is really what I want to do in my life and in our homeschool, and learning that way. So that was a big thing for me, something that I want to change. And then another thing that I've been thinking about as I'm thinking about refreshing our homeschool is, how am I growing as a parent? Because I'm noticing this as my daughter she's in her grade 7 year now. as she's getting older, she's tackling harder topics and books than I was tackling in grade 7. She's going to be reading Animal Farm this year. She just read the graphic novel, and I don't remember what year I read Animal Farm, but I don't remember a whole lot because I didn't really enjoy it. But I'm realizing, okay, I need to reread some books, and I need to like pre-read some books that I want her to be reading so that we can have conversations. So I need to be growing and educating myself so that I can be having these conversations with her. Homeschooling is so good for that. I've never enjoyed learning so much from when I was in school, in college, in university. I never really loved it like I do now as a homeschooler. Maybe that's because I'm older, maybe because we get to choose what we do, but I love it now. And so I need to make sure that I'm staying ahead of my kids. So I've been thinking about different books that I want to read, different topics that I want to learn about, so that I have a bit of a knowledge going into teaching them these things. And then I like to think of, okay, what do we need to subtract from our homeschool? What's kind of been taking over? And then on the flip side, what do we need to add in? And where we are at right now, I feel like we're more on that, like need to add in stuff than remove stuff. But to give you a few general ideas of things I want to add in, I would like to do more with composers with my kids, even if that is just having music from different composers going on in the background in the mornings. I think that would be a really simple and easy way to learn more about composers and their music. This month for February, for the menu pages that I've created, which are just a simple double-sided page where you can cover a bunch of different topics over a very short period of time. I'm introducing a composer and geography. I love geography so much because I want to travel so many places. So I love learning about geography, especially through literature. Great way to do it. So I want to add in more composers, more geography, more art. I think I just always struggle with where to start with art because there's so many artists, and then I get stuck focusing on the same ones. So I want to branch out in the art that I introduced to my kids this year for the rest of the year, and you know, when the new school year starts. And then I also want to add in more games, and these can be like fun word games that we do that are like educational, but I'm also thinking about like other kinds of games, board games. My family is fairly nerdy, not just in the book area, but also in the board game area. I think that I will do a video in the future sharing some of our favorite board games, because I feel like there's 3 different levels when it comes to board games. There's like Monopoly, Trouble, Story, you know, like the ones that were popular when I was a kid. And then there's like that whole new level where you're playing Ticket to Ride and Catan and those games. And then there's like another level after that where we are, and there are a lot of educational benefits to games, even when they're not like necessarily, you know, like a math focused game. Often there is math in a game anyway, but we have a bunch that we've been playing over the last while that I need to share, and I want to incorporate more of the board games and card games into our daily homeschool life, and not just have it always be like an evening or weekend family thing. Not that I'm against our family games nights, they're a lot of fun, but I would like to add it into our homeschool days as well. And then as always, I always just want to continue poetry tea time. I guess that's another thing to think of, is like, what do you want to continue? We've been pretty good with it because, you know, it involves snacks and poetry, so, and a hot beverage in the middle of winter is always great. So always just like to continue with that. So there's just some of my thoughts on a homeschool refresh, questions to ask yourself if you are looking to give your homeschool a refresh in the middle of the school year here now, or whenever it is that you're watching this. And then if you want to know more specifics of things that we're going to be doing, you can join my membership, and I will be having a video going out a few hours after this one goes out for them, sharing exactly what we're going to be doing. So I would love to hear what you do for a homeschool refresh, if you've done one in the past, and just let me know some of the things that are working in your homeschool these days down in the comments. Thanks for being here, guys.